The transfer portal just got a whole lot more interesting with this former Arizona high school standout. Here's why he should come to Arizona State University. We're going to talk about it right now on this edition of the Locked On Sun Devils podcast.
You are Locked On Sun Devils, your daily podcast on the Arizona State Sun Devils, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to the Locked On Sun Devils podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. My name is Richie Bradshaw, and I will be your guide for everything Arizona State Sun Devils. Thanks, as always, for tuning in and making us your first listen of the day. And, of course, a special shout-out to my everydayers who are here every day. Wherever you get your podcasts, hit like, subscribe, turn on notifications so you get an update whenever we post new content. You can stay in touch with that content by following me on Twitter. You can find me at RichieBrads36 and the podcast as well at LO_Sun Devils. Ladies and gentlemen, the transfer portal is in full effect, and it's not just impacting Arizona State. It is nationwide. Kansas State is being hit. Ohio State is being hit. Just about every program is. I know those two really stand out as some of the programs that are getting hit the hardest, but Oregon is now being hit. And I know what you're thinking. Why do we care about Oregon? They just take all our Arizona kids anyways. Precisely. This has really grown into an interesting development. And this isn't going to be the longest podcast. We're really just going to focus on this player and then dive into it more next week, as well as some other guys. But it is very noteworthy. The player that entered the transfer portal from Oregon. For those of you who have not seen this yet, former Arizona high school standout at Mesquite High School, quarterback Ty Thompson has entered the transfer portal. Now, flashback to the 2020 quarterback class, and it was loaded. It was a loaded class. You had Quinn Ewers, Caleb Williams were the top two guys in that order. You also had Drake May. You had Kyle McCord. There were so many quarterbacks in that group. Even guys that I'm forgetting off the top of my head. Ty Thompson was the number 7 quarterback in that class. And he was the highest rated 4-star in that class. He was the number 1 prospect in Arizona, and he was the 40th overall prospect in the nation. He signs with Oregon way back when. Red shirts his freshman year behind Anthony Brown. Makes sense. Let the kid develop. Bo Nix comes in. Bo Nix explodes. You're not going to get Ty Thompson out there. You're contending for national championships with Bo Nix under center. You're sticking with him. Nix decides to come back for his super duper senior season. Well, why would Ty Thompson start? Because Bo Nix is so good. Don't worry, though. We're going to get Ty Thompson involved when games are out of hand. Arizona State got to experience a little bit of Ty Thompson this past year. Threw 1 touchdown and 1 interception against us. He has seen very minimal time in 3 years at Oregon. And it felt like the stars finally aligned for Thompson to become the starting quarterback at Oregon. The prince to be, the stashed and developed high 4-star quarterback. But no. In comes Dillon Gabriel, transfer from Oklahoma. He's going to be the starter at Oregon. Ty Thompson, who has bided his time for 3 seasons, is not going to be the starter unless something unforeseen happens to Dillon Gabriel. You don't bring in Dillon Gabriel and not start him. Writing is on the wall. So Ty Thompson decides to enter the transfer portal. And what happens immediately is the connections to Arizona State University. And quite frankly, there's a lot of dots to connect here. It makes sense from a variety of different standpoints. You can cut this any way you like, and you can make it to where Arizona State feels like the best option, the most making sense option. There's so much here for the Sun Devils to be able to capitalize on with a guy like Ty Thompson, and vice versa. It goes for him too. There's a lot to really like here at Arizona State if you're Ty Thompson. It really goes hand in hand right now. You're looking at the pluses and minuses of both sides, and it just kind of makes sense for both parties. You know what else makes sense? Using Game Time instead of having to worry about getting your tickets at the last second and stressing out, whether it's concerts, playoff games, comedy shows, theater events, whatever. You shouldn't have to worry about buying your tickets for the next big event, and Game Time is a fast and easy way to buy those tickets for sports, music, comedy, theater, anything else near you. Killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and the best price guarantee. Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying your tickets. Like I said, you get to see your seat before you even get there. That way you know what to expect when you arrive. Those all-in prices I mentioned shows you the total up front, so you know you're getting a good deal with no hidden fees. You can buy those tickets with just 2 easy taps. You can do it in seconds. Game Time has deals on tickets right up to the start of the event and even an hour after it starts. It's the place to find last-minute tickets. If you take a look at their zone deals, if you take a look at their flash deals, their sponsored deals, they've got a little bit of everything for you with an average of 18% savings. And of course, that Game Time guarantee means you always get the best price, because if you find tickets in the same section and row for less, Game Time's going to credit you 110% of the difference. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. Also want to talk to you about our friends over at Prize Picks. Prize Picks is so much fun. And now with basketball season, you can do combinations. You can mix your football projections with your basketball projections in the Specials League, a league created specifically for combo projections that includes 2 or more players from different sports or leagues. An example, you can get LeBron James and Travis Kelce at a 10.5-point combo with 3 points made and receptions. If you want to play alongside some of your favorite Prize Picks users like rapper Meek Mill and comedian Andrew Schultz, you can. You can find them in the community plays under the promos tab of the app to view entries from some of the biggest names in the Prize Picks community every week. Here's the best part. Prize Picks offers a reboot policy so that your entries stay in play even if one of your players gets injured. For football and basketball games, if you have a player that exits the game in the first half and doesn't return in the second, that player is rebooted. Prize Picks is the only daily fantasy sports platform with an injury insurance policy. Of course, there's quick withdrawals, easy gameplay, and an enormous selection of players and stat types. It's what makes Prize Picks number one in daily fantasy sports apps. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnCollege and use the promo code LockedOnCollege for a first deposit match up to $100. Again, go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnCollege and use code LockedOnCollege for a first deposit match up to $100. Prize Picks, daily fantasy sports made easy. All right, let's go ahead and round out our conversation now, talking about why it makes sense for all parties. I think we can start with Ty Thompson specifically. Come back home. Come back to the Valley. Come back to the state of Arizona. You did not get recruited heavily, if at all, by Arizona State during your cycle, because Antonio Pierce was wearing his, something as a hat. And yeah, you can venture to what I'm saying, but didn't get that opportunity to be pursued. That's changing. Arizona State is a program in flux right now. And yes, Jaden Rashad is back. And I'm one of the biggest Jaden Rashada fans in the world. But with that in mind, there is no depth at the quarterback position. It's Jaden Rashada, Trenton Bourguet, nothing. There needs to be bodies in this room. Ty Thompson would have every chance to come and stand out at Arizona State. Jaden Rashada played in 3 games this year, was up and down. Surprise, he looked like a freshman. There were some really good looks, and there were some really ungood looks. It happens. But one of the best ways that you can get Rashada to get to that next step is to have that iron sharpens iron mentality and have guys in the room that have been around. Guys that have seen a thing or two. Guys who have had the experience of sitting behind veteran quarterbacks. Guys that have been in good locker rooms, in strong locker rooms with strong leadership and strong coaching staffs and consistency. That's how you get guys to be better. That is something that Ty Thompson brings. He's sat for 3 years. He sat behind veterans Anthony Brown and Bo Nix. He's been with Mario Cristobal. He's been with Dan Lanning. But most importantly, he's been with Kenny Dillingham. Kenny Dillingham was his offensive coordinator in 2022. And yes, Thompson didn't start because of Bo Nix. But acting like Dillingham didn't create a connection with Ty Thompson would be very ignorant. There's absolutely a connection there. And from what I've been told, those two have a pre-existing, very good relationship. So I would not be surprised if those two have reached out to each other. It just makes sense from a standpoint of a place that wants you to be there, from a standpoint of having an opportunity to work into the program. And quite frankly, he could start. Truly, he could truly start. Jaden Rashada, 3 games, looked quality. There were great moments. There were bad moments. That doesn't necessarily mean that you have to commit to him. And let me make it very clear one more time. I am a massive Jaden Rashada fan. I am. I will fight tooth and nail for Jaden. And I have. I've gotten in arguments with people that want to slander Jaden. I am not one of those people. But I would be ignorant to tell you that he doesn't need competition, to tell you that he is definitively the starter. He's proved it, all of that. He hasn't proved it yet. He's proved he has talent, but 3 games, that's not proven anything. So you need to bring guys in that are going to push him. Ty Thompson, that's a guy that's going to push him. It makes all the sense in the world. ASU needs depth at quarterback. They need veteran depth at quarterback. Kenny Dillingham wants to activate the Valley. What does that mean? It means bringing these kids back who didn't get recruited at Arizona State. Bram Walden comes back. Jacob Conover comes back. Tate Romney comes back. They're bringing in guys who are familiar with the area, guys who grew up here, guys who didn't get recruited, and they're bringing them back to this program. Well, sounds like a perfect opportunity to bring in Ty Thompson, if I do say so myself. And look, I got a lot of things to say about this. I don't want to cut you short. I feel like this is a conversation that really needs like almost an entire full podcast episode dedicated to it. And I don't have that time right now because I wanted to get it out to you guys. But there's a lot of transfer stuff to talk about, not just Ty Thompson. We got rumors to talk about. We've got transfer commitments to talk about. We had 2 guys commit last night. We've got creating our own ideas. Who do we want to see? There's so many different things to talk about with the transfer portal, but Ty Thompson is one of the guys at the top of the list right now. I want to know what you guys think. Do you want Ty Thompson? Do you think Arizona State is just fine without him? Are you just not a Ty Thompson fan? Are you a diehard Ty Thompson fan? And of course, Ty, if you're listening to this, have you considered Arizona State? Let me know in the comments. You can hit me up on Twitter. Find me at RichieBrats36, the podcast at LO_Sun Devils. I appreciate you guys, as always, for tuning in. Wherever you get those podcasts, hit like, subscribe, turn on notifications. I'll see you guys again soon. Till then, keep it locked right here on Locked On.